Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's night shift number 2, and we brought in DDK to spice up this series. Mitch was making everyone feel like their forehead was small, and Dan, we needed to change that. How are we feeling?
Feeling great. I love that this patch, man. This patch is something. I mean, I know you've just joined us in Deadlock, but we've been here for a long time, Pocket, and oh my god, it looks so much better. It sounds so much better. If you know, everyone knows Valve's structure, right? If you like the game and you want to work on it, you can just like pull a chair up. It feels like all the chairs are pulled up behind the Deadlock dev team right now. That they are cooking.
I love that call out, and I refused to come until the game got a new look. ZP, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know the old mantra, new patch, new Puckett. Well, we got the new patch and we got the new Puckett, replete with sunglasses, ready to go. But yeah, I mean, the Cursed Apple has never looked better. I mean, I feel like every patch, you know, a little bit of an upgrade here, you know, maybe one patch, the boxes get upgraded. Another patch, the lighting gets upgraded. This patch just felt like upgrade everything across the board. And it really hits you when you go into game. If you haven't played Deadlock in a little while, even if you missed like 2 months ago in game, you're like, whoa, this is cool. And the people that haven't played in a year coming back, man, oh man, it is an experience and a half. It is a good time. And then on top of it, 6 new heroes getting added. And we just saw Mina, who looked absolutely great in EU. Per Listic's words, broken. Yeah, 2-0. And Billy is going to be available for draft for the NA teams here. If he gets through draft, will be another reason. But I'm hoping to see some GOAT with a baseball bat and chain just rock on in. It's going to be a good time.
All right, we got more goats on this stream than I can handle. But can we take a look here at the Billy? Because DDK, this is a frontline character. He was all skinny. I was kind of questioning the toughness of a Billy goat, but I guess that's where he belongs.
Yeah, definitely a brawler. You know, he gets more damage for the more health that he has, or for some of his abilities. And I love the focus on the melee as well. And it's also because obviously the parry mechanics being adjusted a little bit, but it's really cool that the character is going to be built around melee, because we've got you know a bunch of melee builds in the past on the Yamato and the Shiv, which are also like somewhat bruiserish character types. But this feels like more pure, more like in your face. I love it, and the fact that he's got the baseball bat too.
Right.
Man, so
eating
sick.
the mag is a special attribute. I take a look at the PKP logo, though. ZP, what is getting yoinked just out of the window, getting tossed?
Yeah, I mean, look, you take an age-old meme, and it's Lash just tossing a trooper. Get him out of here. Which also kind of works when you're up against Little Troops, where we kind of improvised their logo, which also gave them a Deadlock trooper. And, I mean, I guess you can see where PKP thinks of Little Troops at the moment.
Yeeted was the word we were looking for, chat. Thank you very much, YouTube. We are live on Kick, YouTube, and Twitch. We're taking over the internet, and we're doing it all for free. You guys are paying the bill, and we love it here, because that means we don't have to. ZP, we got to give a shout out. We are now over $900. $950.38 is in the bank account, and we're looking to make that $2,000 before we're done with NA.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't say enough about the Deadlock community. People love coming in to support the program. And, you know, look, it gives the players a reason to play. It gives us a reason to do the broadcast. So thank you so much, everyone that has contributed, especially, you know, Wick Deadlock opened up before the show even started. We kicked off the day with, you know, doing all our, you know, housekeeping before putting the stream live. I was like, hey, wait a second. Wick just dropped the 300. So really big props there. It means a lot, especially to the players.
Double nice from Jack's Libido, but Bendaguy 664 is still in the top 10 with just $25.01. You too could belong in the top 10 and knocking Bendaguy out. Let's take a look here at our rosters. They're boxed. That's what the upper third is telling you right here. We put them in squares so you could truly appreciate each and every one of these. Now, PKP doesn't have the exact same players that were in the previous match, so we're going to update those little names underneath. I know it's my first Deadlock show, but I know that's the wrong PKP roster. ZP, I know this is your fault again, so do you want to tell us who is playing for PKP tonight?
Well, hey, we got the right PKP roster. We just swapped it around. Look, we were well prepared. We had it in contingency. And the player I want to highlight, not just because he's going to be joining us on the graveyard shift later tonight, but John. If John gets to play Warden, John is a monster. Used to be on Melee Creeps, one of the teams that has the dignity of NA of being able to take down Hydra Nation and force roster changes. In this case, Hydra Nation took from Melee Creeps, as it were. But John was not one of the players taken by Hydra Nation and was still a really big reason for PKP doing well over the last few weeks of competitive play.
What do we think of Goober playing on the Goo Man Viscus? He seemed to be a huge factor for Europe. Is that going to be the same for NA, DDK?
I mean, I hope so, unless he gets targeted, because Goober is kind of known for the viscous shenanigans. So it's always possible that that the other team will look at this and be like, well, viscous is good. They've got a really super sick viscous player. We'll just get rid of that. But with that said, you never know where the value is being placed week to week at this game. Obviously, a lot changes with the patches, but even when things don't change with the patches, week to week seems to make a big difference on how the teams actually value the various heroes. So I'm hoping we see Goober on just, I think, what is the signature. He's like the signature viscous player. Am I wrong, CP?
No, you're right.
No.
Nailed it.
He has Goo in the name, but here's the problem is that I feel like we rarely get to see Goober on Viscous because it will usually get banned or taken away from Goober. And Goober, as a result, has been a pretty versatile player, adding a whole bunch of other players or other heroes into his pool. I mean, one of the most notable, I think back to when he was playing for TF2 Boomers for, a brief period of time, and he had Goober on the Haze and made Haze look good even before EU started adopting Haze again. So, I mean, Goober's versatile.
Listic saying, hey, it's great character to start with. If you missed the earlier broadcast, this is the North America portion, and here is your second North America challenger. They go by the name of Lil Troops. Who is most ballsy to bust out a Billy? If we're gonna see a GOAT here in the first map in a best of one, which one of these 6 players do you think would have the cojones to do it, DDK?
I mean, we haven't seen a lot of these guys, but I would assume Stride, just because of the archetype of the hero, the kind of role that you play, because each player, you want to have a pretty diverse hero pool, but generally speaking, we're going to get each of these players from each of these various teams trying to fit various roles on the team. So I feel like Stride would make the most sense. Similar bruiser type character like Calico, maybe not as mobile. Do you have a better guess, ZP? Am I on the money here with this?
It would be my guess too. I mean, obviously we're working with less information. Also, I just love
we're just guessing.
The pipeline of being so Poshy Pop used to be also with Melee Creeps, and now was supposed to be a coach for Little Troops, and then very quickly became a player. He was on the Crimzo path, if you remember, where Crimzo back in Rivals was coaching Sentinels.
That pays money, by the way.
Yeah. And then he's actually, I'm gonna be a player again. So Poshy Pop had a very brief coach stint, now back to being a player, so far as I can surmise. So good to see Poshy back in it, and drop Mina as a signature hero here. So we'll see if Poshy is gonna be also an early Mina adopter. Should be exciting.
I would love to see more Mina. She was very fun to watch and very unfair for the opposing team. If you listen to Listic, who won our MVP award, well, at least the most entertaining player of the night. I want to see some Billy. We want to see some Mina. And ZP, you mentioned 6 characters are coming out here in the new Deadlock patch. Will we get any more tonight, or is it just going to be 2 after this evening?
It's only 2, but it does mean that I think everything will be out, or at least 5 out of 6 will be out by night shift number 3. So next week is going to be where it gets real wild and crazy. But even now, we've added an extra wrinkle, having Billy be playable. Now, strategy-wise, I think you run to the interesting thing of, okay, maybe if you're a second pick, you just ban Billy because it's an X factor, right? People don't have experience on the character, but some teams may decide to roll with it and be like, hey, new hero must be broken. Go for it.
It's the night shift. There's a better place to do it. I don't think it exists. Here we go, though. It's time for some 1v1s. Talk to me about these fat moles. DDK, what are we witnessing?
It's basically rock, paper, scissors, man. It's rock, paper, scissors. Who's going to parry? Who's going to get the heavy melee in? And I don't think these guys are even interested in parrying, from what I've seen. This is kind of a fast 1v1. Usually these go kind of a lot slower. Players take it really seriously.
And they don't block. I respect it.
I mean, now that they're both low on HP, they're like, oh my god, now I should probably try to win.
A lot of mind games going in. The double parry. And I get the haymakers coming on out. But parry cooldown, reset for both.
Slam cam. Finish him strong here. He's running. Nut punch. Great finish. That was orange. Who was orange here? Was that Lil Troops? I didn't even look.
I'll be honest, I also didn't catch the player name.
Yeah.
That's one thing with the Mo 1v1s.
Yeah. Lil Troops won it. We'll see what. No, first pick is going to PKP. It's time to get weird. Bans and protects and our picks, of course. DDK, if you were into this game, who are you making sure you're not playing against? Is there someone that just annoys the crap out of you?
I don't know, but to be honest, again, if these like some of these players were probably watching how good Mina actually was for VP, so I could potentially see one of the teams like putting that in there. But we talked about the priority potentially for Lil Troops to get rid of Viscous, prevent Goober getting on that one. I think that's probably a good move as well. But other than that, I think we'll just have to see what the teams are valuing this week.
Vindicta was a first round ban earlier. This time, ZP, you nailed it. What are we expecting on the other side?
Well, PKP not going to be able to first pick the Viscous is what we're going to see here. I think Lil Troops, after watching what happened in EU and also, just knowing PKP would likely pick it, they say no. But also, this means first pick for PKP. They could go for Mina. They could go for Billy, or they could just decide to, go with the tried and true, go for a Vindicta, and they go for the Vindicta. So still hard to argue with it, given how good she's seemingly been today.
You have to think Billy's going to be around for your next pick. He's going to be hanging out here. Lil Troops on the other side. Dan, what's the best? If they got Vindicta, what do I do?
If they have the cojones, we get the Billy and the Mina. If they want to be stars, if they want to win the hearts of the stream. But no, they don't care about the fans.
The magic
I see how it is.
Bring some over here. Gank's important. That's what I've learned.
Fans are literally paying your money, your prize pool right now. I can't believe they've done this. This is the heel turn.
North America, you could earn an extra $10 from ZP's own pocket with a Billy pick here.
On duty. Now I'm going to feel like compelled, but it's going to be Warden. That was what I was going to bring up here, is that Warden just still highly valued by both regions. And also, I mean, you think about PKP, giving John the Warden isn't great. I think what's probably more likely is that PKP will probably be our first sighting of Mirage today. Mirage seemingly fell out of favor at EU, but John plays a really, really strong Mirage as one of his other heroes.
Yo!
But instead it's Philly! That's right. First competitive
$10 from ZP is going to PKP's potential prize pool. Say that 5 times fast. Also, shout out to Flaws and Goober in the chat. Goober, after getting his Viscous ban, says, frick you. They're active. They're listening to our advice, and you're idiots if you're listening to our advice. Best of luck. Let's take a look here as Paradox is getting locked in. Not banned this time around. What should I know about this character, DDK?
Paradox actually I guess, he was a mainstay for a long time, one of the first picks or first bans, because he's great as an initiator. He's got the paradoxical swap, so he can always kind of guarantee start you a fight and get that secure that pick for your team. Recently, he got a 10% buff to his weapon damage, so he's going to come back into favor again in that role. And Holiday and Paradox tend to be, like, if you don't have Holiday, you want to get the Paradox. If you don't have the Paradox, you want to get the Holiday, because it kind of serves that same function.
$10! ZP's good for his word. Well done,
It's your word. I was kind of forced into it, but you know what?
Yeah. Bowling is what I do here.
I don't back down. I don't back down.
Chat, and neither do you. You have $40 more before this game kicks off. I feel we are going to hit 4 figures for NA's first battle. This is the challenger fight to see who is going to move on and play Hydration Squad, that he just chooses which roster he wants to run each week. We'll see what he brings to the table, as Mirage is going to be locked in by the Lil Troops. We see our second round of bans coming through, and even though the model gets improved, the amount of gameplay will not tonight. What's going on here, ZP? 2569, by the way, just came ahead from Strokelhoma. Great
I love the name. Truly,
These
the
names
ultimate name that we're getting on here. But okay, think about here. Okay, Geist gets taken down mid-stage bans. Not too surprising. Lil Troops, I mean, at this point, you think you probably want Infernus, a 7, but they're going to go Kelvin, so they're going to leave the damage end a little bit more to the back. I mean, Mirage is still good as far as lane goes. The interesting thing here, too, of course, is that you're not going to be able to pair the Mirage with something like Yamato, which was also banned a little bit early on. But I look at holes for Little Troops right now. Definitely think something along the lines of Infernus or 7 is coming on through, but also could be the same for PKP. PKP also could go with another frontliner here. Abrams is still available, and okay, as I said, Abrams comes on in. So you got Abrams, which we know is a good frontliner, and we got Billy, who is probably a frontliner, but we haven't seen get played yet. So in theory, could be quite good for PKP.
Yeah, and Axe is not going to be getting that Kelvin, unfortunately. So I wonder if we'll see an Ivy or if they'll just ignore the kind of more hard support in general. There's that Infernus that you mentioned. I wouldn't expect them to necessarily go Wraith here, but I feel like they could go a lot of different directions. They've got the Sable already with Vindicta. I think that's one of the reasons why Vindicta is so good right now, because you can get so much spirit damage. You can expand the radius of the stake, so it's actually catching just the entire team very easily. So I don't know if a Sinclair might be on the cards of PKP. I feel like Sinclair's a bit underrated. It's hard to say, but the Shiv comes out for that Shiv Kelvin combo, which we haven't seen in a while.
I was looking at these characters, and I am brand new to this, but is this kind of ground-heavy forces? Is anyone vertically enabled that we should keep our eyes out for?
Yeah, I mean, for PKP on their end, Vindicta is going to be in the skies. Billy, probably not, but who knows? He's knocking people into the skies. So,
Mina is, okay.
But Mina, of course, with the Nox Nostra and just using her Sanguine Retreat, you'll catch her in the skies for sure.
Can we ignore my dumb question and celebrate the fact that we have Billy and Mina in the game, the first from NA? If you are enjoying what you're watching right now, hit that donate button. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to DDK. It doesn't go to ZP. It goes to the players' pockets. They're putting on a show for us. Bebop, the last one locked in. DDK, ZP. Who won our bans and our selections? DDK, kick it off.
This is an interesting one. I actually like the Bebop pick quite a lot because with Lil Troops, they've got a pretty strong ground force. You're going to have a pack, Shiv, Kelvin, Mirage, Warden, they're all like fairly close to medium range. So you'll be able to pick off those pretty well, I think, with the Bebop, especially going into the mid game. But that early game as well, Bebop tends to dominate the lanes. So I don't know. I'm leaning PKP, but to be honest, I'm pretty 50-50 overall on this. I like both lineups.
So you're sitting on the fence. If you were going to have to go 45-55, is it still PKP?
Yeah, 55 PKP. That's for me.
Okay. ZP, what about you?
I'm looking at, I do really like a lot of the Lil Troops draft, with the exception maybe of the Shiv towards the end. I think Shiv can still be really good if you have a great early to mid game. But overall frontliner strength, I'm not sure how he's going to match up overall. I mean, the wild card is Billy, right? If Billy ends up being busted, then I probably favor PKP if Bebop's able to have a good game. Bebop is just one of those characters where if a Bebop is doing well, it will win lane. It will be just the scariest character on the map. If Bebop doesn't have a good early game, then you get into the mid game and Bebop feels a little bit worse than other options like Holiday that can be overall more consistent. I would say if Billy is average, maybe I do still favor Little Troops a little bit to the tune of 55-45. But if Billy is good, PKP may be just breaking this wide open.
We're about to find out. Listic, by the way, did not think we were going to see a Billy. The Mina, he kind of expected, said she was broken, overpowered. He also did not lose a game while playing Mina. Does he know ball? It's time to find out as the North Americans go toe-to-toe. I assume the game would have started by now, but it takes a little while to load up. So as we wait for $14 more to roll in, DDK, for anyone like myself tuning in to Deadlock for the first time with the new patch, what should they be looking for?
You should just be jamming out to the character select music, or you should be... I mean, this is the thing, by the way, that's a tell for me that there's a lot of devs working on this game because they had enough time to have Ava in the practice room, the cat, Calico's cat, and you could just loads of interactions. Like if you're Vindicta and you have the sniper rifle out, Ava will chase the laser. And if anyone has a cat, obviously that's the thing that cats do. You can kick the ball around and the cat will mess with the ball. There's so many interactions with Ava. I'm someone spent a lot of time on this.
Did you personally find this all out, or did you watch a TikTok? By the way, we just hit the 1,000 goals. Shout out to Mugicha. Back to DDK. Was this TikTok, or did you go character to character playing with your cat?
Yeah, I randomly kicked the ball when I was in the training room, and I was they was actually chasing the ball, and I figured out that. But then I saw other people seeing how many other interactions there were. So, I mean, the Valve just must really love cats.
ZP, you're all smiles over there. What's going through that brain?
Well, it's also, they love owls too. If you shoot the owl that is just flying above, the owl will multiply. You would think it would reduce the amount of owls, but no, you could just flood your hideout with owls if you continue to shoot the owls. They actually just reject being removed quite emphatically. So yeah, I mean, there's cool little bits of polish like that. I think it may have gotten removed, but they had a trophy in there if you had gotten a winner skin at one point. I think it got removed one way or another, but you know, there's all sorts of like cool ways that the hideout is going to get developed, where you know it's going to be skins, customizations, and all the rest, and it makes things feel a little bit better in between games. It just, you know, it feels more complete. I'm really excited to see where it goes, because this is clearly just the first tasting, right? And there's still so much more to come. And I mean, even right now, it's still almost like overload between the newly revamped map and just how cool some of the new heroes are shaping up to be. And hey, we're lucky. We get to come in here and see both Mina and Billy get played, which is going to be fun. Where, by the way, the devs are patching so often that we just had a quick little patch happen. So, you know, right now the players and production, they're getting ready to get back into it. But
they're showmen. They know what they're doing. The most money comes in right before kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. It's an old betting stakes thing that we got from the 1930s bookies here on Night Shift. Almost called it the other bad word. Night Shift Deadlock, shift number 2. We're already paying overtime, and if you don't know about overtime and the graveyard shift that's coming up at the end of the show, now is a perfect time to plug it, because we're not only taking donations that goes directly to the prize pool for tonight's episode, we're growing the show. We're paying the people behind the scenes who press the button. ZP, how do we do it?
Yeah, that's right. Right now, you take a look below. There's a donate button. There's a command in chat, I believe, that you can go directly to the prize pool, goes to the players. And we also got our Patreon, where right now we're just building on out. But for those who want to offer extra support, goes into helping us support the show behind the scenes, buy things that, you know, we need for the show. And, you know, believe it or not, pay the observers, as it were. They do need to eat. And, yeah, you know, just looking to adding cool content here and there. One of the first things we've done, of course, is the Graveyard Shift, fun little post show after the main broadcast completes, where the talent and a player, maybe 2 players, you know, who knows, you know, we're playing it by ear. We'll just talk about the game for 30 minutes or so after the show ends, talk about the day, very informal, unfiltered, but, you know, just a cool way of giving back to the community for everyone just supporting us week in and week out.
We have Drowsy Cosmic in here for the first time. Welcome to all of our first time chatters on Twitch, saying, am I dreaming? Holiday and Vindicta not banned? Are you not noticing the fact that we have Mina and Billy in the same game, Drowsy Cosmic? What is more impressive to you? I'm excited about the more recent one, because we haven't seen Billy yet. We've seen Mina, played by Europe. DDK is a frontliner, what the game needed right now. We got 6 new characters. Was Billy one that you were really craving?
I feel like, I guess it depends on who you ask, but I feel like for every sort of role, we need more heroes, so that the draft strategy can kind of change over time. Because I think, actually, if you guys tuned in on the last Graveyard Shift, AVG was actually talking to us about this exact topic. You know, his view on how the teams should be banning, how teams should understand the archetypes of, and what you should sort of prioritize. If the other team picks a certain type of hero, how you should respond in that. For the game to evolve, we need a deeper hero pool, so that there's more options to go to in each individual role, so that it becomes more about, instead of counter picking and being kind of forced into picks and forcing your opponent into picks, having your own strategies that you can build around those roles. And so AVG goes into detail on that. And that's kind of the stuff we do on the Graveyard Shift. We get the players, we get a more of a chilled, extended, in-depth conversation where you guys can take part as well.
We don't make them all draw, just when Jason's on the show. ZP, what are you most excited about, though? Before we get into NA, I'm told by chat that they are growers, not showers. I don't know what it means.
Oh, I think it means in terms of the players right now. I mean, the players have, you know, maybe a little bit of a slow start, but a better start as the, or better, you know, finish as the game goes on. That's how I'm going to interpret that. But look, what I will prepare you for is that as you go into NA relative to the EU, not the case every week, and also some teams like Hydra Nation have looked very clean and polished, but NA, as a region, tends to be a little bit more chaotic than EU. You may have fights that go on a little bit longer, the lane fights may be a little bit messier, but you still have great plays, and I mean, NA is also the land of the Lefa 1v3 at times when you get into Hydra Nation, just, you know, the parry god himself, but I think we're close to getting into it.
The Little Troops versus the team that throws the Little Troops off of the cliff. PKP, who moves on to play Hydration Nation. Hydration Nation? Hydration and friends. The Hydra Nation will be playing the winner of this one when the game kicks off on the new map. That's the old map, but it's reskinned to look better. Here we go.
Well, Dan, we're into it. And that is the throw, and everything said was in fact accurate. Winner here going up against Hydra Nation, and the map has never looked better. but also observers. You're holding out on me. Need some Billy Goat. And it's gonna be Axe playing it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Well, he didn't have the Kelvin to play, so I mean, what are you gonna do? And the thing is, I'm not super surprised to see Billy, because just from what I saw of the abilities, in it just, you know, this was recently added during the show. It's all really straightforward. It's like there's nothing like there's no too, you know, complex mechanics. They're all essentially mechanics that kind of already exist in the game, and it's all very like the kind of how you would cycle through the different abilities all makes sense. You know, you got a passive that increases the kind of, you know, once you melee someone, it you know, stacks some amps on them, and you've got an ability that kind of gets you close to your opponents. You got like a stun, and you're really encouraged to use your melee, because once you get that that passive on them active, I think it's called wrecked, then suddenly you're going to do way more damage. So it's like it's a pretty straightforward situation, ZP. You can tell that I'm not even that familiar yet.
Yeah, chat. I wish you guys could see ZP in Discord. He's saying, production, show Billy. Give me the farm animal. I want to see the one with fur. Here he is.
That's right.
ZP. Enjoy.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty much where we're at. Right now, there's other stuff going on that is important. You do have the Vindicta Abrams lane. Almost certainly going to be scary for PKP in the middle, but right now we got Billy laying down some melees and ready to break a beer bottle over his head, or at least a bottle of some substance. And, you know, I'm not sure Billy is drinking a lot of non-alcoholic beverages. Just, you know, looking at the theme. Could be wrong.
At least he's pretty mad though. And there's that first ability that does a decent amount of damage. It's already trying to get in there. The bomb connected onto Billy. Interestingly. And it looks like, you know, you talked about Bebop's importance in winning lanes, and it's on the Bebop. Bebop is on the Billy lane, and that's gonna be interesting to see kind of what happens when, you know, Billy can get off to a good start here.
Also, the itemization choices here, where realistically speaking, the hero is brand new, so you're gonna have to, you know, kind of bespoke your build here. You don't necessarily have the tried and true. You just have to rely on your game experience to think, okay, these items will probably work because it's brand new. You don't have the game time that other people do on this hero, but you have the faith and belief that, hey, it's probably gonna be pretty good. Let's see what happens. So we'll see if Axe's, you know, sort of foray into Billy is rewarded.
And because, you know, you guys are all here learning with us, I've pulled out the, you know, the abilities so we can kind of go through them a little bit. So I was talking about the passive that you inflict once you hit an opponent. It's an ability that gets stuck on them. It is wrecked for 7 seconds. You get increased fire rate by 15%. It lasts for 7 seconds, and you get some additional damage as well. So pretty interesting ability as EP that is like so encouraged for melee. I don't think we have another hero like that. Inherently, at least, except maybe Viscous, but you can really easily build away from that with a puddle punch, and it's not as central to the character.
Yeah, I mean, you also get some melee benefits on Calico, but overall, Billy definitely seems to be more on the nose here. Going for the baseball bat smash, doesn't quite hit, and low HP, still charging in, and is dispatched by Mina. So Bot making a little bit better use of everyone's favorite vampire here in the right lane.
Well, the Mina conversation is also an interesting one, given, you know, how Listic described the uptime on that, as we see another fight here. Pretty deep on the left lane. The defensive action here for PKP looking pretty good. Able to force back Lil Troops. Stride actually in a pretty deep position there. Will get punished for that. So a really nice punish coming in there from PKP. They'll be able to take control of this lane, and they're going for the follow-up here as well, chasing it down the Infernus onto Kelvin. Rhino on the Kelvin, able to get away, but he's very weak. Although the Stride is going to be able to get back on lane on the Shiv pretty quickly, but PKP having a good time of it on the left side.
Yeah, and something to note here too, kind of a rougher start for Stride. Remember for Shiv, Shiv is still kind of in the category where Shiv needs to get ahead to really get the max potential out of Shiv, where you get this just unkillable frontliner that's executing everyone. Well, if you fall behind early as Shiv, you're probably one of the most heavily punished heroes in the game. So it's kind of a mini storyline to look at here, and, you know, a little bit worrying perhaps for Lil Troops is that if Stride continues to fall behind, you're not going to have much of a front line. You're really going to be relying very heavily on flaws, and, you know, that almost makes you dependent on Last Stand for whether or not you can fight. But right now, you got the Holiday Engage, looks for Lasso, doesn't connect.
Yeah, we're really going in for it there with the barrels. Punish on through, though. Where he just gets that kill, and Lil Troops trying to back away there. Not coming away very well in the early game on any of the lanes here, ZP, really. Left lane, central lane, and also the right lane have been, I feel, overall going towards PKP's favor, even though the overall souls are even at the moment.
Yeah, and it's interesting so far. You take a look at the lanes, like Axe hasn't necessarily taken over it yet, but also you think about Billy's kit. I'm curious how team fights break down when you have tools like Chain Gang and, the actual ability to potentially just combo, but a little bit more holiday pressure coming on in. No lasso available, but still just left clicks back over the way towards Saya. Going over towards John though. Hyper Beam gonna be brought out, but answered by the Nox Nostra. The one thing that apparently will make a Bebop cancel the beam and duck and cover.
Yeah, Mina definitely quite the threat. And in fact, this tower's taking enormous damage. And so, I was talking about PKP being a bit ahead on some of their lanes, but Lil Troops able to convert really quickly into that tower on the right. So with that Guardian down, and this is interesting because how do they want to play it out? We again heard from Listic, the uptime is pretty intense from Mina, able to farm the neutrals really effectively by getting the health back off the rake. But hold that thought for the moment as we get another engagement here in mid, CP.
And going to jail is Wage, nowhere to go towards the end. Actually staying alive, a little bit of life leech off the melees, but not enough. Binding Word gonna do its job here for Lil Troops here in the middle. And you take a look, everyone has rotated in the middle, and this is a full team effort to say, nope, we're gonna take the Guardian, we're gonna open this map up. And you look around, doesn't seem to be coming at too much of a cost. As you look over the left, Frozen Shelter will be dropped here in from Rhino as Stride gets a little bit of room to work with.
I know this may be early to ask, but DDK, chat wants to know, do you think Billy is a weak laner?
Ooh, it's a good question. I'm not sure how he scales, but I guess you can make the argument for that because he relies on getting pretty close range, and to get the damage amp and the healing and so on, you have to land the melee. So if depending on what you're up against, I could see how that's not necessarily a great combination for a strong laner. You with me on that one, CP?
It's hard to say in case because we looked at a lot of his ones seemingly were missed. I don't know what happens if those ones get hit or if you do a different skill priority. I think it takes a little bit to get in the flow, but Mina right now, oh man, you just try and hide and Bebop. Robotic senses over, drops the bomb. No 2 available to disjoint it that time around. So John on the hunt.
Yeah, great from PKP though. Lose some of those lanes, but they're pushing the action forwards. They're trying to find a kill around this mid tower, taking the initiative. And Wade's just going to go down though, so that's not worked out here for PKP on the aggression there. Maybe going a little bit too deep. And that early tower on the right side that we saw, Lil Troops able to take down, and that roaming Mina as a result turning into then another mid tower off of that roam. That pressure coming in from Lil Troops off winning that right lane ZP has been really powerful here inside, and they're starting to carve out a 4K Souls lead back-to-back kills and fights as well because of that momentum that they've gained.
Stride getting isolated, just a quick swap and gone. Stride still not the richest member of Lil Troops, but the person that's actually been completely farming is Pop. Dear God, I look at the economy distribution and I don't think Pop has done anything but just effectively farm this entire game. That Mirage is going to be a huge threat if it's not dealt with here. Guardian though, gonna be going on down. PKP looking to equalize across the board here, and I am curious as we get to our first set of team fights where it's gonna be 1 minute till urns are potentially in play. How Axe on the Billy is gonna look like.
Yeah, I think it will be really interesting. Lil Troops, they have I feel like a pretty strong Death Volley type lineup, and again, I don't know what to expect necessarily. We'll have to wait and see, but at least this mid tower is going to go down finally there. PKP is a really crucial one to get, but there is a response coming in here from Lil Troops. They don't want to allow that to go for free, and they're chasing down the kills, finding the Bebop there, and they're going to be able to get John deal with him. So PKP, they get the mid tower, but it's at the cost of the life, and now Lil Troops are roaming for more.
John just got hit by the cool guys don't look at explosions meme where Pashi did enough to get the Jin's mark up enough stacks, just looks away and he's like, yeah, he's gone. He's not gonna live. But speaking of not living, a barrel into a lasso once more. You got G-Freak here on the hunt. Furnace though, able to withstand, may not be as clean of an engage or fall through as expected. Shifting gears here, take a look at Billy and just seeing Mina hit the deck.
It's really interesting, ZP, because we're seeing constant action here. Well, hold that thought. We've got Billy going in on this kill, and well, it's looking pretty nice because there's a numbers advantage here playing out in favor of PKP, and they're going to look to get this tower off the back of that as well. Some response, though, as we do get a late appearance coming on through. Stride trying to hold things down, but you've got to be super careful here. Again, the numbers game was an issue with PKP, but able to separate, isolate some of these players here from PKP was giving Lil Troops more success in these fights. Able to take down one, turns into a second as well, chasing down more of the kills on the retreat as PKP try to escape now. And they've lost 3 players already, and it might be more here, ZP, because the fight's still going on.
And they lose the urn on top of it. Also, that was the first chain gang we saw that did not look like there were chains. Like the name of the ability is chain gang, but ideally you're close enough to people to actually attach the chains. Doesn't quite happen. So Axe definitely, not the most comfortable on Billy, which is to be expected given the fact that
Ajax.
NA player, yeah, a little bit, yeah. But you only had an hour or two to actually look at the hero before NA started. So I mean, it is to be expected. Overall, though, PKP down a bit. It could be worse given how decisive that last fight seemed to feel.
What's up, Bucket?
Oh, he doesn't know.
I see the enemy.
Oh, he doesn't know. Just a gents question mark.
No, the Ajax. It's in Overwatch. The heroes are called a hero called Lucio, where you use your ultimate and get nothing.
We don't have to bring him into this, ZP. Let him go in peace.
No.
This is vibing. Leave me alone. All right.
Hey, look, you asked the question.
Find them.
So what's interesting, though, very quickly here from the macro, at the 6-minute mark when the first right side tower down, the pushing and the initiative taking didn't stop from Lil Troops, but the Soul's differential is only 6k in another fight here under the Kelvin shelter, and this is a much better situation for a Billy. Go to find a fight, trying to connect the melees there, in and out, but again, not really enough forces here to back him up. He's got to try to escape from this one. I'm not sure how well he's going to be able to do that. He's got 2 players hot in his heels, able to get close to that Walker, though, so it's a good point of defense. And in the meantime, there are fights happening on the right and left side here, threatening both Walkers. Little Troops are pushing the entire map.
Yeah, I mean, Lil Troops is getting quite a bit done. Several pickoffs, and you look at the lanes. It is nothing but blue encroaching on yellow here at the moment. I mean, Lil Troops in a pretty reasonable spot right now to set up, as next turn is going to be coming in 2 minutes. Look at the overall state of the game. Also, farm-wise, I mean, Flaws is exactly where you'd want to be here as a Warden. Pashi Pop, where you'd want as a Mirage. I mean, essentially just playing pretty textbook right now. Getting good pickoffs when they can, translating in, stealing a little bit of jungle here and there. And we're bringing back an old favorite where it feels like it comes and goes with Warden, but Majestic Leap back into fray.
And also falling back off all those push lanes, they group up and kill the neutral camps on the PKP side of the map before then retreating back towards their own side. So really trying to get all the value here and finding another fight, though, in the mid lane. And Lil Troops looking to try to survive, but they get caught out there again, a little bit too deep, and finally PKP with the surround, and it's too easy to follow up on these kills. And it's, for once, going to be Lil Troops who'll be rooted out of this one. And what's the conversion? There might be a world in which PKP can attack the left lane that's getting pushed right now, maybe catch those players, but they are retreating, and it looks like now the moment has gone for PKP. They did not respond quickly enough, CP.
Well, the interesting thing for Lil Troops, they may have lost some players, but they actually got good progress on both the left and right walkers there. So all in all, not the worst. I mean, yes, you give up a little bit of your lead, but now the next time you look to make a trade, you should be able to get either walker down relatively easily. So not the worst, but speaking of hot pursuit, Brayden able to go over there, find Mott. Now we got to take a look back to Billy here, keeping the blasted debuff up, but right now just running away from some pressure coming on in.
Yeah, off the back of the last couple of minutes where that mid-fight was found for PKP, they are now suddenly closing the deficit pretty enormously, and they're chasing up more kills here. Axe able to escape there. Nope.
No.
Knife, the bleed damage will take away. That'll be fatal for Axe on PKP's side of things. So Lil Troops trying to stem the bleeding, because there was a lot of CP. It's only a 4k differential now between the two teams. So it's been essentially somewhat of a full recovery for PKP.
Interestingly enough, Lil Troops does have options here in this urn. There's a world where they could let PKP focus urn and then use it to trade out at least one walker, but now it looks like they want it. Meanwhile, we have John with the hook, looking for the follow through swap coming in after John able to finish off Mina again, and Mott Again, focused. 2 fights in a row here. Shifting gears here, look at PKP. Just slide on back, still laying in the damage on Mirage all the while. Now walking back forward, the Walker under assault here once more. And if things get too hot and heavy as Mirage, you can just TP out. But for now, getting really good Walker damage, and no one from PKP is here to deal with it.
Yeah, PKP have to take down this left side tower. They will lose the tower on the right side. Billy will try to slow things down there, but realistically, it's going to be a tower for a tower trade or walker for walker trade. But there you go. Actually, Billy really actually pushing them back, but it might even be able to save it because now also Saya has appeared on the Vindicta. And even still for PKP on the left side, not able to take down that walker. It has been a push that has been deflected right now as the urn has to be dropped by Lil Troops. They try to take the fight here, but PKP, I think, looking stronger overall. Although Rhino able to open up onto Goober, and suddenly both teams decide to disperse without either walker going down, but that urn is still in play.
Yeah, right now, John with the urn, and just take it to a safe area. Realizes that you look at the map, John with enough awareness realizes if you try and immediately turn it in, probably going to run afoul of Shiv and Kelvin and not live to tell the tale. Also, I'd expect John probably to pass off the urn here to someone should PKP go for the turn, and usually you want Bebop free to go for a hook, where hook is super valuable in and around the main urn tournament.
Okay, now we've got again like split pushing for both sides. 3 players on the right and 3 on the left. Oh, actually, no, 2 on the left there for PKP, trying to defend both sides of the map. Will Lil Troops be effective in this assault? As we look on the right side here, it's definitely a PKP win, but over towards the left lane, Lil Troops suddenly outnumbering them, having their eyes set on that walker, but I don't think they have enough there to overpower it. And in the meantime, Billy bringing over the urn for PKP's side to that drop-off, but it's not secured. PKP needed more players to secure the drop-off spot.
Yeah, both teams kind of rotating in and around the urn drop-off. Take a look, though. You got Stride dropping on down. And overall, economy-wise, catching up a bit here on the Shiv. Not quite raid boss Shiv, but still something that's to be respected and will make space. But, okay, slammed into the wall. Wage over and in. Frozen Shelter going to be dropped here on top, giving Stride a little bit more room to work with, but not enough to get away. Too much damage. Frozen Shelter, no. And Wage, perhaps looking for a little bit more. Dives on deeper. Not a coward seismic slam at all, but also doesn't want to fall up and over as both teams poking in and around.
Yeah, Rhino goes down though. Braden takes him out. That's going to give the edge now to PKP on the numbers game. But into the fights now, can a difference be made here by Lil Troops? Can they find anything? They're losing more players. There goes G-Freak as well. So now they are out of this one. There'll be some chase though from PKP with that damage on Mirage. It is not to be trifled with, but still looks really good here for PKP. Back-to-back kills. And I'm not sure who actually got the urn turn in there. Did the urn even get turned in? It must have done.
It did. And also, I did not catch the end of urn turn in myself as we were looking where it was. So either way, when the dust is settled, it's 105 to 101. And
I'm gonna say PKP got it because he had that urn turn in energy when we switched to his POV. He looked confident.
Yeah, I mean, also Poshy just barely able to get Braden towards the very end. Just the Mirage accuracy out of this world. But yeah, I mean, overall, it kind of leaves us in a state that is relatively even right now. It's a little bit hard to gauge the effectiveness ability here so far, where I think Axe is definitely paying the new hero tax of just still learning it as we go. But I look at where Lil Troops is at right now. I think Flaws is in a very good state, and as long as they fight with Last Stand being up, I think Lil Troops has a slight edge in a bigger team fight right now, even being down just a bit on the aggregate soul count.
Yeah, the map control overall is there for PKP at the moment. Got a new urn coming up in 45 seconds, and these walkers, well, at least the left side walker's being threatened. The mid walker can also be threatened with the 2 players there on the right side for PKP. So we'll see what response comes out here from Lil Troops. Will they defend this? They just don't have enough. They can't stop it. And in fact, we get a lasso picking Vindicta. Saya out of the skies, but the assistance, the help is here to protect Saya, and they convert the kills. Big win for PKP. They can try to convert this into the mid-walker as well, but there's a brawl on the right side of the map, a 2v2 there, and Lil Troops, they're going to reinforce it, and they should make it a 4v2 in favor of themselves for that right side attack. But in the meantime, those left side towers, are they going to go for shrines here? I mean, it might be possible there for PKP on the left.
Could be possible. Lil Troops, though, in danger. You see Mott running for their life, super low right now in the Mina, just trying to evade some of the damage coming in from Braden. Braden, meanwhile, the cavalry has arrived. Braden, now the one being chased on down, trying to make it at least to get one in turn, but not going to happen before Stride drops the killing blow. Venom Strike, meanwhile, being bought by PKP. Action across the map. Earn currently in control by PKP. John carrying it on the left-hand side.
Worth mentioning that across the entire map right now, pretty much all the neutral camps have respawned, so there's a lot of value on the map for both teams to try to find a way to get. Additionally, we've got this urn drop-off. Also, the 20-minute urn, that's going to be a lot of souls. That's a big one to fight for both sides, especially with the game this close. And so, Lil Troops, they got to respect it. You see their positioning around the urn drop-off spot because they have to understand that this is a play that opponents could make. And currently, they're in a great position for this fight, ZP.
I think if you're PKP, you try and force this before Flaws gets last stand back up. You have this like very brief window. You look at the upper right before that's going to be a thing. We'll see. Meanwhile, Lasso over and in. E-Freak just catching John. His fault we're going to be here. Well, one Lasso maybe deserves a hook. John trying to fight this back evenly. Still getting pursued. Gets a little bit of help, and this a bit of help going to be forcing G-Freak back in turn. Not quite going to be a clean pickoff. And while this is going on, the urn is just heading back to the left side of the map.
Yeah, but with Lil Troops winning that fight around the urn, they are able to drop a spot. They're able to take this walker. They should be able to take this walker down finally if they can manage to make it happen. The Mina ult does a lot of damage. That's doing so much there. Can we chase down the kill? Mina, Bloodlust, engaged. Can't quite find the stake there. Buying some key time. Sire, the slipperiest Vindicta you've ever seen. And still somehow, okay, finally gets taken out. The world is right again. And all that Brayden could do, ZP, because Brayden got kind of juked there. It was 5 players for both teams on the right side, but the Mirage was on the left lane, and Brayden went to meet him on the Infernus, and Mirage just TPs to his team for a 6v5. That is why Lil Troops won that right side fight.
Well, the end result of all is that Lil Troops is very much back in it. They close the soul deficit. And now, mid-boss being contested. John just dropping the beam from the stairs. Rejuvenator currently falling on down. See how it's going to pan out, and it's going to be PKP, or rather, Lil Troops, easily claiming all 3 charges of the Rejuvenator. John's pressure from the Hyper Beam not going to be enough to really make anyone think twice. So, from Little Troops, where they were down about 15k, Dan, nearly 20k, one good team fight in the mid-boss has now put them ahead, and they have urn control going into this 20-minute urn.
Yeah, I like the Hyper Beam. It's all orbs and no bite. I don't know how to do like it. I want to do like the bark no bite, but I don't know how to like make the sounds like automatically the sound of a beam, Hyper Beam. I have to work on that one. Nice catch there from John, able to find a nice hook. The escape though, escape tools are pretty effective to get out of that one. In the meantime, Brayden's going to go down there on PKP side of things. So they're in trouble, ZP. They came back in this game, but they are in trouble. They're up against the 3 Rejuves. They're getting chased down. Here comes Little Troops again.
Little Troops in a really good spot right now. PKP essentially about to fight here. Underman. Taking a look, and Axe just gets crunched. Nothing to see a Billy's kit there when you just get hit from multiple angles. And, you know, one of the things that was, you know, kind of a question mark was the Shiv. I'm sorry, but hold that thought. Mirage, there's a Bebop here, off to the left. And really, Pashi looking incredibly well fed. The poke damage just forcing John back, and all the while not really caring about the Walker beating him as this continued poke goes on.
Yeah, this fight's really crucial here for PKP to just hold the defensive line, and they're going to lose, indeed, that one player, Billy, down. But they're keeping the Walker up at this point, and it is very disadvantageous territory to attack into if you've got the other team there setting up defensively, fortifying the position. So far so good, but it is getting taken down. That Walker is still losing health. I think they're trying to still go for this one, and they might just be able to take it down. BKP can't stop it. Still all the Rejuves up here. The Little Troops have all the full confidence. They can lose 3 players and still be in on a fight that they can win it, and they are doing just that here in this one, or trying to. Little Troops defending with everything they have. Only 1 player for them, not in the fight right now, trying to get there, but will be too late. Little Troops trading somewhat evenly if they can take down Brayden, which they will. And there is still a good chance here for PKP, as they're turning this defense into a full wipe of Lil Troops. This is exactly what they were after, ZP.
I do wonder a little bit if Pashi Pop had left for too long. It was a calculus to let Pashi leave, then rejoin the fight a little bit later, you know, utilizing Mirage's map ability to go back and forth. But in this case, they have joined the fight a little bit later. And now under fire here from Saya over the top. Not necessarily where you want to be, under 50% HP. In range, just go down the one assassinate. And wisely, PKP getting out of there, but will take the mobility buff along the way.
Maybe a second to breathe here, but if we look at the situation, the sit rep, in terms of the macro, you can see all those blue lines, all the map control there for Lil Troops. Obviously, they didn't end up wiping at the end, but they did push absolutely every single lane. So it's going to take some time for PKP to clear those lanes, getting some neutral camps along the way. Just had another urn get picked up, brand new, fresh urn, and that is in control of Lil Troops. So it's important, a priority for the map control to be on the left side here for PKP. They don't have enough players on the left side here just yet, ZP. They could absolutely get timed on that urn drop-off.
Yeah, the question is, does Lil Troops know about the overall position here in the map? They may, and if they do, they could just walk in, especially given the fact they have the Kelvin, they can use the Frozen Shelter, and it's looking pretty free on the turn in here. Lil Troops just gotta walk up in. Yeah, you may get hit with the stake, but you're just waiting, you're turning in the urn. The urn is in, so not something that's going to be particularly contested here at this time. PKP more than willing to just push down on the right-hand side and take a bit of the jungle from Lil Troops.
I can definitely see the advantage in going for the Walker. You know, you get that guaranteed, you give up the urn, sure, but at least you're not in an awkward team fight that's harder to set up where the opponents are there first. That would definitely be the harder of the two choices. And right now, I think one bad team fight and PKP are out of the game. One good team fight, and they're very much in the game and potentially ahead. So this next team fight, it makes a lot of sense that they're being cautious here and trying to make sure they have the full information and that they try to keep the percentages high on the plays they make.
I think the real problem that PKP is going to have is they have a PKP problem. PKP is farmed to the level of a monster right now. Just picked up Mercurial Magnum to help add on to the build. So fresh buy done, likely all souls being utilized, none in reserve. Okay, about 2k in reserve, but right now, PKP, you want to fight if you can. You're way far ahead. Your poke is scary. Just looking at people with a little bit of help is going to be enough to take them down. And you see PKP right now on the hunt, trying to bring the fight over here to John. But on the same note, if you overextend and get picked off, that would be a disaster.
Yeah, certainly a really big threat, but like you say, if they can, I mean, a lot of this is definitely going to be down to what tools do they have to disable or deal with threats or get picks, because Lil Troops, you know, I think one of the strengths of their roster is it's pretty good, easy for them to run into a pack. But hold on, a stake connected. I don't know, is this a fight you want to take though? PKP is so strong. His health is not really going down at all. He is getting bounced around though, caught by the hook mid-air. All the focus fire. This is the pick that they were looking for. Can they complete it? Oh no, he's in shelter. He's being saved potentially here by Rhino. What a clutch shelter. The focus though. And eventually ZP, he goes down.
PKP went down, but it took an army. He got hit with the kitchen sink and the sink behind the sink. However, all the focus fire on the PKP, realistically speaking, backfires a bit under PKP. They end up losing 2. They get PKP out of the fight, but are they going to be able to add a little bit more? They are. John with the focus fire on the top chases down Mott once more. Mott appearing real fragile on the Mina this game. The brawl still continuing here towards the left. All day under pressure, getting a little bit back, trying to get room against this Abrams. Goes for the parry, able to get the parry. Now getting a little bit further back, 30 HP, 20 and down. Too much damage coming in from Goober on the other end. And when the dust is settled, it is 4 down for PKP, 3 down for Lil Troops. Not clean for either side, but I'm still just in shock with how long PKP lived, Dan, with how this
that shelter from Rhino's EP, that was the most clutch ability in the entire fight. Keeping PKP alive for the duration of the shelter, that is what made the difference. I think had that not been the case, PKP would have died and Lil Troops would have gotten completely rolled. And instead, they're going to pick up an uncontested mid-boss off the back of this. And there are 3 players here, 1 for each region, so...
Well, they're going for the mid-boss. We'll see how much contest is going to be here. Lil Troop certainly thinks that they can grab it. It's a long time to actually bring down the mid-boss, but you look at the map and PKP, they're just going to let them have it. So all 4 rejues rather, going the way of Lil Troops. And right now, Overall, small advantage of Lil Troops. Still something, though, the PKP can work with. They're trying to get the shrines in the interim. Not quite able to finish them off. Would have been nice, though, for PKP if they could have at least gotten that trade.
And this is one of the problems, too, is that so many of these urns are going to Lil Troops, and PKP have not been interested in ever setting up for them. It could be the case that, you know, there's the macro, that is the kind of communication on the team to set those defensive positions up ahead of time when they know that the opponent has the urn is not quite there. I'm not entirely sure, but they just have never really gone for these urn fights. I don't think that they have a bad lineup to do it, or they don't have tools to you know, get good picks off of it. It's actually ripe for picks. You got the Bebop hook, for example, that can be really sick in those spots, but it's another 3 urn. They're going to Lil Troops as PKP get that one up, and this is making a big difference now, ZP. 25k lead for Lil Troops. One fight more for them that goes to the favor of Lil Troops, and they're in great spot, and they have the rejuve to create that, to force that fight.
And you see the immediate extra buys, Ricochet being picked up by PashiPop, Boundless Spirit onto Mott. So the money from the urn immediately spent. PKP deciding, hey, we think this urn fight's gonna be disaster. We want to fight at least with a little bit of train advantage, but see if that decision is going to pan out. PKP full defensive, and I think to an extent you just hope John reel them in, help us get a pick off a hook, and go from there.
And one of the things now, especially with one of the recent changes in the update, is that you do get punished a bit more for just sitting in base and farming the souls off of the minions, because the way the percentages are calculated, you just get less souls overall. So if you're just turtling in base, well, you know, hold that thought, because actually PKP come out of the base. They are looking to take the fight. I don't know that the Lil Troops are ready for this. This might be the engage, the initiation they needed as they try to make this one happen. And there's a Pix going up onto the roof there, off of the hook, seeing what they can get done. But the Mina is deadly, as now Lil Troops rolling forward back into PKP's base, pushing them straight back. And this is not a good look here for PKP.
And on the same note, though, PKP is able to get out and they don't give up any picks in turn. That was one of the situations where, should Lil Troops have gotten a pick or two, they would have been able to go into the base. PKP, though, they get the reset. They still have the paradoxical swap ready to go. They still have John, a threat for hooks, looking for the opportunities. So Lil Troops, they still have to respect the initiation tools that PKP has at their disposal. Maybe they're going to give up the base guardians here. It gives up the slot, sure, but now they're going into enemy territory. John, Goober, looking to create the miracle here. Frozen Shelter already forced out here from Lil Troops. They have to be careful not to overextend. Rhino takes down John early on. Stride gives one of the rejuves up for it, and PKP forced back into the fountain, but only giving up one here so far. They're actually playing this defense well, even as they give up a few structures.
Yeah, this is so difficult with the rejuve still online, still so many to deal with, and this is going to enable the Troops to maybe just finish up right here. The Patron getting beamed down right now as they try to fall back out of the base. Now the PKP coming in for all damage. The barrels connecting with so many players, but still not enough damage. Vindicta laying on fire. Saya from up high in the sky. There's the stake. Can he get any alchemical fire or anything off of the back of that? There is the assassinate. He's trying to find a target here. He's got such good vision, but there's too many man and not enough damage. The Patron is getting destroyed, and that is going to be that. Lil Troops, they're going to take map 1, and they're going to be in the money match.
That was fun.
No retreat there, no deciding, hey, we're gonna hold on back. Lil Troops decides we have the advantage to go in, and unlike Mina, who now on the day is 3-0, Billy starting off on the 0-1, but I do respect Axe coming in for PKP, giving it a shot, just not quite effective in the end. And also,
very sad.
Take a look here, Dan. I'm curious to see some of the post-match breakdown on where things are at. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about this game. The most I'll say relative to the EU is that it was definitely a little bit more chaotic. We had so many periods of time where it really was just fights going on in 3 or 4 periods of time overall. But I'll say for me, as I looked at it, Mott still had good moments on the Mina, even though it was seeming a little bit squishy. But the one rock that sort of they could rely on the entire time for Lil Troops was PashiPop. Got ahead of the game on Mirage and just continually pumped the damage and kept them in fights that otherwise would have been bad. And even when PashiPop got focused, the support for PashiPop, in part coming from Rhino, was second to none.
I think I still think that might have been the most key ability usage in the entire game. It can often be the case when you're on the Kelvin because the shelter is that strong and the delay that it creates can just fundamentally change the tide of a battle. And that's kind of what happened. The extra delay, because we even set it up, right? We talked about it. We said, okay, if they can find a way to get the pick on Poshy first, they will win the fight. They found the way to get the pick on Poshy, and as you said, it took an army, but they were focusing him, the entire team, for so long, and he was just about to die, and then the shelter comes in, and then Lil Troops, what happens? They barely win that fight. So I think that made all the difference, and that fight, had they lost it, it would have been a roll. They would have got absolutely smashed, and PKP would have been very ahead. So definitive, because off of that fight too, even though it wasn't clean, that went into the rejuice for Lil Troops. And that just allowed them to keep control of the team fighting and then the map. So really, really close game, ultimately, I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think about how it broke down, too. Realistically speaking, if you're going to play Bebop, you do need to get, I think, a bigger early edge than PKP got. It's not that John was playing bad or anything like that. I just think that playing the Bebop did not result in enough pickoffs, especially in the mid game, that would end up snowballing in the higher objectives. Now, how much of that was the idea that you were running an Abrams Billy frontline where maybe the Billy probably wasn't being played the top potential? I would argue almost certainly wasn't being played the top potential, and that's not an indictment on Axe. It's just the hero is new. You take a gamble on a new hero, and maybe it doesn't pay off because there's a little bit more nuance to like executing with him the way you'd want. But I would also point to the resource allocation that happened is that Lil Troops had a little bit more map control, and as a result, Brayden was getting caught on the bad end of some of these fights, probably died a little bit more than was ideal. And you just had this big gap between the damage end where Poshy Pop was, effectively a raid boss at the end. And, Brayden as Infernus existed, but we didn't really talk about it all that much because just Brayden wasn't able to create separation farm-wise in the game.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm now trying to think about how you would enable Billy more. I think you want lockdown with it, like a Mo and Krill with the combo, but at the same time they had Vindicta, and Sire played an amazing Vindicta game because you have Stake off of that. Obviously, it's not quite as good and not quite as guaranteed with the melees and stuff, but still you had the lockdown, which I think is part of the battle with Billy, is to enable him to get close to the opponents to get the opening salvo off, and that's kind of what sets him up to start rampaging through the fight. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, speaking of Sire, he really kept the game alive for his team, I feel like. Again, just showing why Vindicta is so highly valued, and with a lot of damage output, but still, wasn't enough ultimately. We saw, again, Mina being a pretty consistent threat, as we also saw at EU.
Yeah, I mean, I think the funniest part in terms of the stand and fight dynamic is that, generally speaking, Bebop has had a monopoly on, oh, it's the Hyper Beam. I guess we should probably back out or immediately interrupt it. In this case, there was one moment where Mott saw John pull out the Hyper Beam and said, actually, I will see your Hyper Beam and raise you a swarm of bats. And it's a situation where it's like, well, okay, swarm of bats going to win. So a few changes there where I actually think between the ability to just pop a Nox Nostra in the face of a Hyper Beam and actually have it be okay, and the fact that you can disjoint Bebop's bombs, I kind of feel like Bebop doesn't necessarily love the matchup versus Mina between the two. That's just my gut feel. Obviously not a lot of data on that here so far, but as I look at that interaction, something to keep in mind as the hero roster gets more in depth, and drafting becomes more about counter picks rather than necessarily picking the things that are always on top.
Funny, we actually see Reiner with 47k healing, and I think 10k of that was probably in that one shelter when he was just pumping the heals into Poshy Pop that we mentioned previously. But yeah, anything else jumping out to you here, ZP?
As I'm looking at here, going across the stats, I would say probably isn't the immediate best showing for Billy. I think based on his kit, I would probably expect more damage to be able to be done. But again, I just think it's a gamble you pick where the hero was out for an hour and a half max before we were able to play this game. So, all in all, that's going to happen. That's not really on Axe. That's just you take the new hero gamble. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But I would not look at Billy's stats here and be like, Billy's not very good, because there's a world where we go into the next match and Hydra Nation, maybe they have a take on Billy that is in fact really, really good. So we'll just have to see.
We will have to see. And I think we're going to be rolling into our MVP in a moment. It's this was a very interesting game, ZP, because I feel like one player did stand out, at least on the winning team, head and shoulders above everybody else. I almost want to start talking about.
Yeah, we'll start talking about it. Production will catch up.
Can I do it?
Catch up. Yeah. We'll break the silence. And yeah, it's nice. Got to be Pashy Pop. Mirage not being seen in EU today, but still, you saw the power of a Mirage when they got ahead of the game. And I mean, Pashy Pop partly achieved this by avoiding team fights within the early game. When the rest of the team for Lil Troops was making fights and keeping PKP occupied, Pashy Pop was just, I'm farming, and then doing more farming. And as a result, Pashy Pop was able to build a very healthy 5 to 6K soul lead, around the mid game. I think it was around like 15 to 18 minutes where the lead really became pronounced. And from there on out, anytime we went to Pashy Pop's point of view, it was just forcing players like John to run for their lives, where you're a Threads Bebop with a hook, but the also threat is Pashy Pop holding W and spamming left click in your general direction. Just kind of the pressure that Mirage will put down later onto the game. And also, I love the new data we have here. Items bought and when for tier 2 and above. Very snazzy.
Yes, there's gonna be a lot of screenshotting, I think. And I gotta say too, with Mirage, the style of play that we saw from Lil Troops was to really exploit it from a macro point of view that they had Mirage, because if you remember, they were doing a lot of split pushing across the map, and this game is all about sort of figuring out how many people do we need to defend against a certain threat. And if that threat is 2 players, well, you want 2 players. You don't want to have more than 2 players, because then you're going to lose value elsewhere on the map. And so if you as the opponents can force the other team to kind of mismanage that, you're going to get ahead. And that's what Mirage kind of does really well. You can threaten one lane and then just TP out to the other lane. And now that's now a 3v2 lane in your favor. So we saw actually that in a few moments when it actually really paid off pretty massively for Lil Troops, giving them the edge on the objectives.
Also, I don't know if we can actually adjust highlights on the reel, but I would love to go back and watch that again. Just we got the up close and personal view of Mirage just not dying. Just everyone all in, and it was one part just Pashy being ahead of the game, and another part Rhino just throwing every supportive item and ability directly into Pashy Pop. Because the way that started out too, I mean, everything got landed in that fight from PKP. You had the swap get landed. He was in mid-air, and John landed an incredible hook, and it's just Pashy would not go down.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone caught in the chat maybe like how close was it really? Because I feel like Pashy Pop got to maybe like 100 HP, like it's really close. But either way, you can see here how the schedule's played out so far today. If you missed EU, Virtus Pro beating a Lotos, and then we went into that VP 2-0 matchup against Abrahams, which was great. VP, obviously, they're the ones that are always on top. They're kind of the Hydra Nation in a sense of EU, the team that is the most winning. And speaking of Hydra Nation, we will be next into our money match here for the NA Finals, Hydra Nation against Lil Troops. And I'm super curious to see how this will go, because Hydra Nation is a team that's not afraid, I should say, to pick new heroes as well.